and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dadley Boyz of WhatCulture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete. The big quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review Dynamite and the go-home show ahead of WrestleDream.
Yeah, it was fine. It was broadly fine. There were some bits I enjoyed. There were some bits I didn't enjoy. There were some weird bits that I laughed at. There was some absolutely pitiful undercard build for the actual pay-per-view. This is where we're at. This is where we're at with AEW generally. I'm not going into a big philosophical treatise about the state of the company. Do not worry. But, yeah, all in and all out felt like something. And now we're just back in sort of, it's sometimes good, sometimes great, sometimes bad. It's just a very uneven company. And it just never feels like they are absolutely clicking into anything approaching true form. You take what you can get or whatever. Lick at it or whatever.
Well, speaking of which, I think there is one thing or one person on this show I think we all universally loved, which we'll get into.
I don't actually know what you mean yet, so I'm quite excited for that reveal.
Yeah, I think I've seen the tweets from this morning.
Oh, yeah.
But how
by leaps and bounds, and you know that it's not going to end well, so agree. Right there.
Before I get your thoughts on the show, Hamflett, and I want to know your answer to this as well, Sidge. How was the flashback to the Wednesday Night Wars and setting the alarm for like 3 a.m. or whatever?
Then, fine. Now, tyrant. Still the morning. It's
older, aren't we?
Still the morning.
Shows were a lot hotter and more exciting.
Yeah. Still the morning as we're recording this. And I already feel like I've done a full day because I'm on about hour 8 now, I guess. I got up at 3:30, which isn't watching them live and bottling the sleep. But it was what it was. I went to bed early enough to sort of get maybe like 5 hours kip or something. I was genuinely looking forward to NXT, genuinely. So I thought, and we had talked about the scheduling of today and how we're going to fit this in because we're out of practice. We're not match fit for like war nights anymore.
When we used to try and do the reviews for both shows in one podcast.
What a waste of monetization that
was. So yeah, not match fit for this sort of thing anymore. But it was fine for a bit, and then what I tried to do here is not have like the fact that this was the second wrestling show of my morning impact my actual thoughts on it. And it was neither. I think what might happen once upon a time, and I think we both experienced this in the Wednesday Night War, because we would watch the opposite show first. Our most heightened excitement might come for a segment that by this point in the show we were both kind of flagging on. So it was like, I feel nothing for that stage. How can you not? You're an idiot. Where like flip it over. Yeah. You didn't see that. I'm not bothered. I hate the Performance Center. Full Sail. And I just like. So I was thinking, is this Dynamite just? Am I flagging through this Dynamite because I've already watched a wrestling show? And I think no is the short answer to that. This was a very okay 2 hours of AEW. Like none of that like worst Dynamite ever.
No
stuff. But then again, there's some characters that are just being sort of abandoned and dropped and let down creatively. Some of it was pretty rubbish. So I don't know. Maybe that's impacted by having to watch two shows. It would be untenable now. I didn't realize just how much 5 years was until this morning, and like these other sort of nights when there's a lot of wrestling to watch all at once.
It's very different with a kid now. I appreciate how much you guys went through. Well,
and I think that was it. One of mine would have been still a bit younger at the time, so maybe my sleep patterns were so all over the shop then that it was just, this disrupted sleep happens to have wrestling on while it's happening, so I'll take it, you know.
How old's Charlotte now?
6.
Oh, God, yeah, then.
6 years old. In answer to your question, I've not watched NXT yet.
Well, let me tell you, you've got a treat in store for you. No spoilers, but I'm in a pretty good mood today. But we'll get onto that one later.
Energy levels will be up in the afternoon, don't worry.
I think the latest copium from, before we get into the match by match, angle by angle, whatever. Look at it.
Honestly, yesterday you said something or whatever, and then you didn't say the second half of that, and I felt physically sick.
I felt like there was a sneeze trapped in my face.
Yeah. I think the latest copium, and I'll think, you know what? Kind of part of me still fine for this company. You'd like to think it can reach for like old heights or whatever. Like a tit or whatever. It'd be like, yeah.
What a disgusting T-shirt that AEW would definitely sell.
Yeah,
right there.
absolutely.
And we will soon. What culture shop online, etc.
Just on the back. What culture or whatever. Liquid or whatever on the back.
Oh god, yeah, that's off to the printers tomorrow.
It's got Citric or whatever. Look at
Yeah, good.
I think the latest copium, and I would like to agree. Yeah, the problem is they're all in, then all out, then bloody
Chuck it all about.
and then bloody Grand Slam, then the anniversary. They need all those big matches for that, so they can't really let anything simmer. Yeah, so there's a longer gap between Wrestle Dream and Full Gear, so that's when they'll start cooking.
Oh, okay.
They're serving at the minute, probably serving too much
Yes.
in terms of match quality. They need to start cooking.
Yes. But then you like doing tea prep, so is this not prep?
Don't have time to prep, mate.
Yeah.
There's no. That's the problem. There's no prep time.
It's a bit ready meal wrestling, all this.
Well, I don't love it. So I was like, could
Yeah.
you shove this dynamite in between two bits of bread? Is that what you're saying?
Right, let's get into it. The show comes on the air with Jon Moxley saying no one wants the blood of the legendary Bryan Danielson on their hands, despite him trying to kamikaze himself. But the way things have worked out, it has to be him, Jon Moxley, who gives this wake-up call to AEW. You don't get to pick the day, John says. Everyone lives in their fake world. Saturday night, they'll see the truth. Moxley brings up the dark side of Danielson, which is a beautiful thing. You back the dragon into a corner and it becomes something truly terrifying. He says Danielson has never been comfortable with that part of himself, but as his world closes in around him, he will embrace his dark side. Moxley will be ready. He doesn't have a choice. There aren't enough people in the state of Washington to stop him on Saturday. What Moxley stands for is too powerful. Whom shall we fear? Moxley will run into the mouth of war, so run while you have a chance. He hopes one day Danielson will understand it has to be this way. The stakes are too high, and then he throws his chair behind him and storms off.
Some absolutely incredible verbiage. Some wonderful sound bites. It's like he's got that screenwriter's flair, Moxley, with his promo. He's unbelievable. The way that this is all shot and filmed and soundtracked create this unsettling feeling within me where I'm genuinely frightened about the tenor of this match and the extent to which they take the violence. I think they want to make people really uncomfortable when it happens. And if you remember they had a match they headlined the Grand Slam, I think, 2022. And it was pretty good. I think I remember being let down, actually.
I wanted Danielson to win the belt.
Yeah. And they had another one at Revolution 2022.
That was kind of awesome.
That was class, and it was absolutely disgusting. They were just kicking each other full on in the face when they were sort of each attempting a leg grapevine on the other. I distinctly recall that spot.
Was the Regal debut?
The Regal debut.
Yeah.
There was I think there was double juice. It was just like vile. I think they're going to do that, but I think they're just going to really, really, really hurt each other in there. There's going to be like a disgusting shoot headbutt spot. I think it's going to be a discourse. It's going to be everything. You might have guessed by the way I'm kind of bargaining a little bit that something's coming here.
So there's a butt coming, yeah, I was going to say.
There is a butt coming. Moxley has made me feel like he is going to mutilate Danielson, and I'm scared at the prospect, and I'm very much looking forward to this match, but at the same time a little bit apprehensive about it. So, job done. That's what they're going for with this. Here's something, right? All this talk about Excalibur refers to it as speaking in riddles. And Moxley's done he's spoken riddles a lot to the point where he's inviting people to examine his words in that sort of Malachi Black sort of way. What if in that Malachi Black sort of way, there's no big grand twist and he's just Moxley, pronoun boy. Moxley is just finding increasingly quite cool, but also vague and cryptic ways of articulating BCC are really hard and really violent, and Danielson has that good heart that, he'll celebrate with his family. Jon Moxley would never do that. He would just get the job done. What if there's no big twist, no mastermind behind this, no forcing of his hand, and he's just setting people up for disappointment with how kind of cool his promos are? There is something I'm latching onto, that being Moxley just walking up to Jack Perry with the Young Bucks kind of maybe with a knowing look, saying, you're a good kid, never stop believing. It's something like that.
Yeah.
I don't care what they say about you, you're a good kid. Maybe there is some big twist. Not that I necessarily want to see some kind of takeover of the company or something so fake as that, but it just struck me as soon as I think it was Fightful Select, I mean, who else is scooping these days, other than Ibu of Wrestle Purists, rubbished the idea that this has got some kind of connection with Shane McMahon. Is he just saying stuff?
We did. I remember we spoke about this when, who was it that lost?
I don't mind. It's just...
Oh, it was last week when we were previewing, because it was the idea that, well, they'll send Okada in to win the title, and then he fails, but it's okay because they've got Jon Moxley as their plan A. You know what I mean? Like, the Elite want all the belts.
But Danielson challenged Okada.
Yeah, that's true. But like, but you know that, do you know what I mean? The sort of grand idea that the Elite at one point said that the titles represent the power within AEW and they want to get the world title. They wanted to get it off Swerve. That's what I'm thinking of when they were trying to get the title off Swerve as well.
They wanted it with their accomplice Christian Cage.
Yes.
And a beat that's just never been followed up on.
And is this it? It's like, you know what? We're not thinking about the right person here. The right person is Jon Moxley. We can infiltrate the BCC from the inside. We can have him tear that apart.
Because there is parallels. Like, they've talked a lot about the Young Bucks saying, we're going to change the world, guys.
Yeah.
Like, in there, that being a really smarmy way of the day one rhetoric and stuff. And, you know, Moxley's also being this sort of day one guy and like what are you doing, Private Party, etc., etc. But then the Young Bucks are feuding with Private Party. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, no, hang on. That's good, isn't it? Like, so the BCC have targeted Private. That becomes a nice thing on the night, doesn't it? That they were like trying to take Private Party out because maybe the Young Bucks identified them as a potential threat. And sure enough, they've actually become a potential threat. Like, they've.
But is Mox wanting Private Party to get better, or is he just so disgusted at the state of AEW that he blames the likes of Private Party for not really doing anything?
Still been on enough of a rise to get a shot against the Young Bucks. And they're like, we're going to have to kick these guys' asses as well. First thing Moxley did when he came back was name check Tony Khan via Tony Schiavone, which the last time that anyone was involved in Tony Khan was when the Elite were actually hassling him and trying to seize power. It's less of a obvious kind of, we're changing the Dynamite credits. We're hitting him with a spike pile driver. Like, this is more of a, like, Jon Moxley has seized power through wanting to reshape, like, the vision of what AEW should look like.
He did feud with the Elite because their philosophies were so different.
Maybe they've realised that, what's that phrase?
This is why you can't just do stuff, man.
The real AEW was the enemies we made along the way.
You know, you can't just do stuff.
You cannot. It's really true. You cannot just do stuff. Yeah,
you can't
this is the doing stuff era, and it is.
The doing stuff era will always kick you in the ass.
Unless it's all part of Agent Ambrose's plan, of course.
Die in a grisly fire.
The thing is, I'm saying all this. Maybe I'm bargaining as well. It's because I don't want. I get completely where Sidgwick's coming from, because I'm watching this program and I was like, hey, John, mate, if the greater power you're referring to is a violent spiritual energy, people are going to be pretty pissed. Yeah. Nothing's happening. It's over. Like
there are people who are. We didn't just say Shane McMahon or whatever, like a tit or whatever. It is like a discourse online. People are.
It's fun. It's potentially quite a fun
people
thing.
Are. I do get the impression that people are expecting some kind of reveal here. Maybe it's coming. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
What else are the Elite doing? So you've got Jack Perry and Shibata and Okada's nothing.
I don't know what Okada's doing.
So like, nobody does anymore, man. So like,
I never know, man.
Jack Perry is willing to meet Shibata's level of violence. What particular level? Well, the level he found when he wrestled Okada in New Japan. The Young Bucks beat Private Party. The people about the hand smashed it. If you wanted to, you could say, it's interesting that there's quite a lot of overlaps here between what Moxley's up to and everything the Elite are doing. And if there was once upon a time, if the storytelling had been tighter, the convergence that showed itself on the pay-per-view would be like, yeah. So like, there are links, tenuous as they may be. That's what I've decided now. That's in my head now. It's locked in.
It's just that Moxley's Jack Perry thing did not happen by accident at all.
And it wasn't just a tip of like, he's going to be a baddie now.
Moxley never liked Omega. Moxley and Omega have never got along, and now the Bucks hate Omega.
Like, they've been dropping stuff left, right, and centre. There is that as well to consider. We'll see.
You are right, though, in terms of I'm with Moxley now with these promos, and really immediately got me into Dynamite.
He's amazing at selling a fight.
It is that tightrope you walk of one wrong move and you're, like you say, Aleister Black or Bray Wyatt or whatever. It's just like, you're just talking bollocks now. Yeah. Nothing. You never deliver on anything. So why should I even listen to what you're saying? As nice as the wordplay or whatever it is. We go to Danielson immediately after this. He talks about Claudio telling Sports Illustrated that his last Dynamite tonight. He says that He and Yuta are going to run through Claudio and PAC. He's been a supporter of Castagnoli in every company they've worked in, but tonight there's going to be no support. In Spokane, he's going to kick his flipping head in. Didn't say flipping.
Again, it's now I hear that catchphrase, you've sort of ruined it. So there he is, man of peace, Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. He doesn't really have the stomach to be ultra violent. Yeah. His catchphrase is, I'm going to kick your head in. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've just been doing stuff again. They've just been doing stuff for the BCC. You can't just do stuff, mate. You can't just do stuff, lads.
Excalibur welcomes us to the show with Tony Schiavone and Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
He was really good, and of course he was, because has he just sniffed out a job he might be able to get? Taz recover in the hospital, mate, but get a sweat on because you need to get back to your chair because Jeff Jarrett Jones is going to have it.
Jeff Jarrett was great, and I don't want to kick a man when he's down because I love Taz. Yeah. Taz pops me and makes me smile just through being Taz, right? And it's the worst time to do a minor pedantic criticism of his commentary. The three of them, and I can't relate to this sort of thing, boys, the three of them have kind of lost control within themselves in their own bubble. And they're having a little bit too much fun when they are meant to be doing a serious job. I personally can't relate. No. I personally cannot relate. But you know what I mean, though?
Lock ahead or whatever.
Yeah. Tit-sucking Jones or whatever. Tit-licking Jones or whatever. Lick a tit or whatever. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, Jarrett grounded it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Jarrett was as you'd expect, like a complete and utter consummate pro about his approach to commentary. I don't know, I liked them taking it a little bit more seriously.
See the Nitro flashback I hid up online when I saw Jarrett on commentary. It's that time he rocked up like Stevie Ray's just like trying to set the world to rights, and Jarrett just comes to the crowd and smashes him with the guitar. Must be Monday.
Not being funny, right? Russo era WCW is correctly shorthand for the worst, most self-destructive, and some of it was really ugly. Some absolutely incredible side gags, I'm sorry. Some absolutely unbelievable
kind of one of the things he was
gags.
into, wasn't it?
He was a good side gag, like the Beetlejuice Jarrett thing. This is bad for an audio podcast, but Buff Bagwell, come on. Let's have it.
Booker T in the 49ers match. Scott Hall. He's got Scott Hall's picture out of the box. That's so rings Risa. 4 poles, 4 boxes. Well, I don't know. A picture of Scott Hall.
And then at the end, obviously, he pulls the
Scott Hall or whatever.
the belt.
Lick at tits or whatever. Lick at titties or whatever.
We always establish they go through 3 boxes. Oh my God, that's the last box. That's got the World Heavyweight title in. So they open that last box and pulls that. World Heavyweight Champion. No, it falls out the bottom. And some stagehand has to go, there you go.
David Penza.
Dave Penza.
Oh, yeah, that was it,
new World Champion Dave Penza.
The rules.
The business.
What was it? Knee replacement surgery Taz has had? Or get well soon.
He posted a hospital selfie, bless him, as well. Like, he's in rough shape. Rough shape Jones.
Yeah.
But I'm with Sidge as well. Like, the dynamic did need a bit of a boot in the ass.
Yeah,
I still think that they are capable of magic as a trio. Genuinely.
You never want the Vince headset bullying ever. We'll never call him for that. Rather a free.
And I do love that. But that's the reason why I think they get carried away. Is the expression really for me, because they've got such incredible chemistry that sometimes overwhelms them a bit.
Is this the most like glass houses throw stones Jones we've ever been?
Yes, of course.
Ever. There's been plenty of them.
So Darby Allin comes out whilst we're introduced to the
new
boy. Lineup. Says, Brody King, get your ass out here. After he answered Darby Allin's challenge, Brody, that is, for Wrestle Dream. And out he comes, and we get a nice recap of the history between the two men. He said, Darby, he's excited that Brody's answered his challenge, but he could have said yes nicely. He talked about working the indies together, staying in crackhead motels, not knowing where their careers were going to end up, and King having a kid on the way, and then Brody being in ROH when it all went under before Tony Khan bought it and what have you. And Darby being the guy to bring Brody into AEW. And thanks to this company, they helped both of their fathers retire. But neither man takes anything for granted. AEW's given them so much. But now King wants Darby's spot. He wants to be the face of the company. Darby Allin wasn't supposed to make it, but because of AEW he has. And King cuts him off saying, you've got everything I want. What happens if you go to Mount Everest and don't come back? Your dad will have to get a job again. Look, someone needs to save you from yourself, says Brody. Darby Allin screams, let's have a bare knuckle fight then. He sits in the corner. He's like, come on, hit me. So he can do the cannonball. But King says, come on, get up. So Darby stands up, slaps King in the face, and gets laid out. King goes to choke him, but Darby Allin's got a rock in his jacket, blasts King in the face with it, busts him wide open, and security come down and have to separate the two men.
Oh boy, I didn't have time for this at all. I did not have time for this at all. I thought it was quite bad on a few levels. I think Darby Allin's incredible. I've often referred to him as genuinely the most underrated wrestler on the planet. Like, I think a lot of us, myself definitely included, lose perspective over how special and how great AEW is. Darby Allin, like, I know it's not to the same extent because he never worked with The Rock or Triple H, two totally bona fide headliner, megastar, household names. Well, not Levesque, The Rock. So it's different. So it's on he's a more consistent Foley. In terms of everyone has their best match with him.
Yeah.
He's was instrumental in rehabbing Samoa Joe.
Yeah, he's not a star maker, but he's a wrestler maker.
He's a wrestler maker.
Yeah.
It's like a cross between Waltman and Foley.
Yeah.
You can't have a bad match with him, and the great matches you have with him will make your career or rehab your career. He did for Joe what Foley did for The Undertaker for me. Genuinely, not a shadow of a lie or a doubt in my mind.
Can't forget the Takeshita match from earlier this year as a match of the year. And
he's in terms of improvements, I think he's vastly improved his promo game in the last few years.
He has, in terms of the delivery, if not the content, and that segues nicely to my next point. If you look at where Darby is compared to Perry and Guevara, like, I'm not being funny, like, there's a lot of AEW fans or a lot of people who've maybe sort of drifted away from AEW. Not to sound harsh, if they never saw Perry or Guevara again, I don't think they'd care. 5 years in, 5 years, longer than the Attitude Era, longer than New Gen, 5 years, people are still waiting and wanting Darby to win his world title. That's such an unbelievable testament to how great he is.
Yeah.
And yet, this is I felt it for a little while, but Darby, for me, was always able to get away with it because he's so great. I wish he'd knocked this. I know he's preparing for the role of face of the company, and that's clearly the direction. I wish he'd shut up about this AEW stuff, or at least, he's going to need to be the face of the promotion at some point. That's clearly the direction. Maybe don't talk about it every single week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's his character, I guess, at this point. That's the role that he's studying for, preparing for. But it's just, I've heard enough pro AEW Raw speeches to last a lifetime. I would rather it was as much a personal achievement for Darby as it was for what he wants to do for the company. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting a bit bored of all of that. And that's part of my general malaise with AEW is this thing that's worth fighting for. Just give over. I'm a bit sick. So that was one problem with the promo. I'm like, this again. Also, right, if Brody King, who attacked him from behind on Collision, right, was continuing to be this just dickhead, bully, just monstering Darby, just toying with him unfairly, it's already not a fair fight visually. If he's just kicking his ass from behind, and then he whips out the Rock based on what the promo was last week, that kicks ass. That absolutely kicks ass. There's just like one or two just completely unnecessary steps here. If there was just, right, he's kicked Darby's ass again, not fair. There's no sting either. Well, he's got an equalizer, and it's the Rock, and that ties in so sweetly and neatly to last week's promo. Like, Brody King told him, "No, stand up. I'm not going to attack you when he's slouched in the corner," which we were bitching about this in the office is the only word. And Andy Murray made the great point of, why is he asking for a fair fight from Darby when, one, he's a heel, and two, last week he was happy to jump him from behind.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. They don't think about bloody out anymore, and they used to be the most detail-oriented promotion ever. So the fact that you've now got Brody King saying, no, stand up, we'll go mano a mano. He's a different kind of heel because he's massive. You can't beg off. I'm not being stupid, but like at the same time, just cannonball him.
Yeah.
You're obviously smaller, but you're better than me, and you beat me before. You know what? I'm just going to kill you, take your spot that you're so desperate for. Save you from yourself. Continue that story, B. Cannonball him there, and then do the Rock thing. I'd have been up a height if they hadn't have done that. Well, stand up. I don't know. It's just they just overthought this.
The roots of it being this open challenge as well. Darby has welcomed this to his door, even though Brody's like decked him on Collision. He's welcomed this.
So make a name for yourself off the back of me, basically, yeah.
And then somebody has, or has attempted to, and has given the reasoning of, I'll go further than that. I'll just take your spot. And he smashed him in the face with a rock. It's like you have asked for everything that has come your way.
Yeah.
And your response to that was, I'll hit you with a rock. Like not because it's basically not showing what you're telling everybody, which is that you're about to lead the company. It's not the actions of that person that does that. The thing about this AEW fighting for the soul of AEW, which like you've kind of created like an internal klaxon for me now. So if I hear somebody doing it, I was like, yeah, there's no place for this anymore. There was once, there absolutely isn't now. Is that like, I would say
there would be if people really cared.
Well, the thing is, right, John,
I don't think that list is long.
I'm starting
the raw speech list, isn't it?
I'm starting to feel like this John Cena ruined everything thing is currently in the front of my brain for other wrestling reasons. But like with wrestling, you were never supposed to like. There was supposed to be a top guy and a mascot. You're supposed to love the top guy and like the mascot. Hulk Hogan was the WWE's top guy, but he wasn't a walking WWE flag. He was Hulk Hogan, and on and on and on that went. Bret Hart, calls himself a WWF guy, but it wasn't like he was just a flag waver. He was Bret the Hitman Hart, and or Steve Austin, on and on it goes. John Cena ruined it because he was, love the mascot, please, love the mascot, and people did. People loved the mascot. So Vince McMahon, broken brain, was like, well, we have to make it. Roman Reigns becomes a mascot. You don't love Roman Reigns, you love the WWE mascot. AEW were kind of lucky that Cody was such, and is now, such an effective mascot wrestler, but AEW's formation was totally different to anything that's ever happened before. Like, every wrestler initially could
Cody
be
kind of needed to be a mascot.
Yeah, like, and every wrestler in their own unique way was a mascot because of the unique convergence, which you can read about at length still, like, from my esteemed colleague here. Like,
It all depends, though, doesn't it?
What's that?
Just like the kind of words and the amount.
Well, you see, I would want to read 120,000. But we're talking about convergences, we're talking about mascots, so they better be passionate and insightful.
Guess what?
What?
Well, wait a second before you do that, actually. Sorry, I just need to clarify where we are. We're in the world. Does that affect things?
Well, it means you can get it because you can get it from anywhere in the world. Well, basically anywhere that Amazon delivers.
He's going in the book hole.
Whoa, the book hole!
In ages.
Becoming All Elite, the rise of AEW. This is my life's work. This is my dream realized. This is my dream manifest.
There was a period, that book beautifully, I want to say, outlines as well, when that mascot energy was quite important, and then get to work ultimately after that. And even Cody, I think, drops that a little bit. This is not a time for making Darby Allin a mascot because you love Darby Allin, because you love Darby Allin for everything that he's accomplished. Like, his wrestling CV is absolutely stacked. Like, Bryan Danielson isn't, and he talks endlessly about loving All Elite wrestling.
He does a bit.
But I don't think that's the central character of him being the world champion. And especially because he's got so much credit in the bank. Maybe he does a bit. Maybe everybody's been a bit too mascot-y.
Even Moxley's like the mascot. He's the mascot what's the Batman thing? The mascot you deserve or something.
Oh, yeah.
You're not the hero you want, the hero you deserve, or the hero you need or something, yeah.
Dan Durkin in here to help us out.
The 3D printers, the words.
Yeah.
And again, it wouldn't be such an issue if you had like your top star / babyface and then a mascot figure that you could rally behind because their values were good and they like being here in AEW. At the moment, it's such a central theme to so many wrestlers, and the motivation of your top, well, now we've realized babyfaces, heels, and staples. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Moving on, Renee Paquette is backstage with Lance Archer and Jake the Snake. She talks about Don Callis wanting to recruit Lance Archer, as was referenced a while back. And Don Callis walks in saying it's an exciting day in AEW, the first ever talent exchange. Lance Archer is officially a part of the Don Callis family. Archer shakes hands with Callis, who refuses to answer Renee's question about Will Ospreay, walks off with Lance Archer, who gives a nice nod and a handshake and a thank you to Jake the Snake before leaving. And Renee's like, well,
4 amazing years.
What did you get in return? And Jake
It was 4 amazing months, to be fair. Other than when he crawled on top of Brandy that time, that was disgusting.
You know what? To be fair, Jake Robertson's a pretty amazing negotiator because there's not many people that can lose that many title shots and just keep getting them.
Yeah.
Like,
Good manager in Cannon.
good kid for him, manager.
He teases a surprise later on.
So that's the 3rd manager that Lance Archer's had in AEW.
What am I forgetting?
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
Who are Lance Archer's managers?
Callis and Jake Roberts.
Vicky was with Andrade. Chavo was there for a bit, wasn't he?
It's like a one-night contract. It's going to come to me. It was a one-night contract exchange. I like it. Jake was because didn't Lance Archer join the Righteous a bit, and as a result, I
was getting ready in case you get it.
Yeah, I'm on the right lines here. It's a relatively recent one. No, I don't know then. I know because it was just Jake Roberts is with the Righteous now. I'm getting it mixed up. It's like he's friends with them now.
I'm trying to think of surprise appearances, and all I can think of was it the Gooch we were talking? Was it the Gooch?
The Gooch!
Mickey Gooch is here.
Mickey Gooch is here. No.
Get Tyson out of the way.
QT?
Nope.
Oh, we were watching some old QTV the other day, weren't we? Good times.
Bad times.
Real bad. I can't remember how it happened. I just remember that it did.
No, you have to tell us.
Want a shot in the dark?
Can we have a clue?
If we were to sing it, might we get it right?
I don't know. Try it.
Yeah. It's Alex Abrahantes.
No. It's not Alex Abrahantes. I'm going to give you one last clue. Basically, if you were really excited to do something in life, you'd probably say something to the effect of
Joy Giovanni from the Diva Search.
no. What are you talking about?
Joy. I feel joy when I'm excited to do something.
No, but what would you say if you're really up for doing something?
Oh
my God.
Nope.
LFG. LFI.
No, shut up, man. You were right.
GFY. Chris Jericho.
You were right.
LFG.
But drop the F.
LG.
Liam Gallagher.
Let's go.
Oh, of course.
Dan. Can't remember his name.
Lambert.
Dan Lambert. Thank you.
Dan Lambert.
Dan Lambert.
God, yeah.
American top.
So frustrated there.
Sorry, yeah.
My head was about to come off in fury.
I get that. So give me the timeline on that one then.
I don't know. I just remember that it was, he had, I don't know, I can't remember how.
He borrowed him.
Borrowed him, and it was during the Hangman.
Yeah.
Because Dan Lambert was knocking about in that Go to Texas Death.
He was. Was it not him that it was ringside, loosening the ropes and...
Dan Lambert.
So Jake's not any good anymore because Dan Lambert got him that match.
Anyway, we've got a crammed afternoon, boys.
Yeah, sorry.
It's better.
Daniel Garcia seen walking
Love it, innit?
in the car park. Renee asks him where he's been basically since All Out, and Garcia says, I'll tell everyone out there in a minute. Before that, though, it's time for Hologram versus Komander.
Yeah. I really like this action.
They put over his winning streak.
Who was Abrahantes during this? Isn't he managed Komander or whatever?
He did. He came out with him on League, didn't he?
Where is he here?
I think you'll find he was a good friend of Bryan Danielson the other week, so he's out there in the main event.
I've never seen you see that
Do
again.
the front flip. Go on, right over the screens.
Hey, do a Campbell. They start off with multiple arm drags, monkey flips, a stalemate basically the crowd immediately gets into. Test of strength. There's a pop-up backflip off the chest of Komander. That's just a start. Yeah. And Komander goes to the outside eventually where Hologram does that dive that you love so much.
I do love it.
Get back in. Flapjack high kick gets a 2 count.
Just lasts ages, doesn't it?
It does, it's great.
Just goes so far into there. You're right. Hologram hits a suplex to take us into the break. When we come back, Komander flips out of a drop down somersault springboard thing into a Hurricane Rana to send Hologram outside. He springs over the top rope with a dive, does Komander, tries another one when they go back inside, but Hologram meets him with a reverse Spanish fly, and they're both down. Hologram goes to the 450, Komander gets the knees up. Komander tries his rope walk thing with dive with the Hologram on the outside, but Hologram springs up, tries a mid-air Hurricane Rana, but Komander turns that into a power bomb.
Oh my God.
This is so unbelievable, this spot, that I thought they'd botched something.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
And
I
thought
rewound it.
The commentators covering for something, but no, just anticipated the Hurricane
He
Rana
actually
counter.
tries to angle as if he's going for it. So he's got to
Yeah.
look as if he's attempting it for it to scan.
It's not
as
a
counter.
flying nothing, is it?
Yeah.
This was literally too fast and intricate for me to keep
amazing.
track of.
They Hologram tries a backflip into a slam, but Komander hits him with a poison rana. Komander tries to follow up, but Hologram gives him a poison rana. Then Komander tries a springboard poison rana.
Springboard! Doing the old springboards in New York City. Summer springboarding.
Hologram catches him with an airplane spin into a sit-out slam for the 1-2-3.
Frankensteiners as well, I see.
This is wild.
In reverse.
Those guys could jump off the Brooklyn Bridge. I swear to God, they bounce off the sea. Were you working next? The Statue of Liberty?
Thoughts on the match?
I have literally wobbly and still awesome. This is what I want. If you know, I said
That's what you've been campaigning for.
You know, I
the
said
other
about
day.
the 6-man the other week, and then the Young Bucks, Ospreay and Fletcher tag. If you're not doing that, off. Like wrestling is like be the best of whatever it is that you're the best at, or get out the way.
Get out the way,
That's
yo.
how you beat the churn.
Yes.
Like, and that counts if you're the best promo, if you're the best talker, the best like bombs worker, whatever it is. Like only the best will do, maybe, and that's why this felt like
That's all right, man.
something.
We talked about this on the preview. Like we're not, we're old. Okay,
We're in our 30s.
we're in our 30s, fact, but we're old. So I don't get the chance to watch CMLL as much as I would like. It probably is a bit tighter and hotter, but my God, if they're doing stuff that's as forward thinking as this, then I'm probably gonna have to start watching the freaking thing because rough as bars at points. There was one reverse Rana, poison Rana, where like it was as if, I can't remember which way around it was, but it was as if Komander's foot scraped. No, I think it was Hologram's foot, kind of like feet scraped Komander's back, and then Komander just very obviously threw himself on his head.
Yeah, it was that one.
So it was like, that wasn't great. And there were a few other moments where it just looked rough. The odd sort of stutter step of let's get in a position for the next thing we need to do. When it clicked, as we've just said midway through, because we were too excited to put that spot over, we just stood on the dick of the recap. When it clicked, I literally could not keep up with it, and I wanted to rewind just to make sure they botching. No, they're doing stuff, and like it's such incredibly advanced, exhilarating lucha chess. Excellent when it peaked and clicked. This,
And that wasn't all because...
imagine if it was all perfect. They were sort of if it was all perfect, and it wasn't. If it was all perfect, it was just so high octane and literally dizzying.
Yeah.
That would have made my TV matches of the year list. On the second Casino Gauntlet, Jarrett Danielson, Takeshita, Darby. Those are the three that really stand out. Maybe the first conglomeration tag out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I think that was before they even referred to themselves as the conglomeration. That was unbelievable as well. There's been some great TV matches this year, as always. This would have joined it had it been that little bit more tight. It was like a WCW Cruiserweight match. This.
Yeah.
If you go back and I know it's the most like easy take ever, but if you go back and watch, it's so futuristic that they themselves just botch half of it because they're just making stuff up for fun.
I was
And
thinking
it
Rain
had that
UV and Rain Psychosis and ECW. They're the go-tos for me, where it's like this simply didn't exist in North America, and it's like that's kind of
some of it's real sloppy.
greedy mainstream TV fan me just wants that served up straight away.
Yeah.
Bring it when it's perfect, eh? Like don't waste my time on
But a lot of the WCW Cruiserweight matches are sloppy jalopy.
yeah.
And that was this. It's like it's so advanced that it's like it's almost experimental. And when you do experimental stuff, it's not always going to be perfect.
Old Blitzkrieg was a sloppy guy, but when his stuff hit, it was like Jesus Christ, like,
Like, it was,
but he missed quite a bit like that.
So I was like probably 13, 14 years old when Blitzkrieg first burst on the scene. Very much that gives you the belt if anything. He's the best.
Sorry, Hogan, you're going down.
Blitzkrieg was that. WCW can be saved after all. They'd just done that February 1999 Nitro. It was finished.
Yeah.
But I saw the Blitzer and I was like, give him the belt.
Yeah, you ever see, I think there's a guy you like. You ever
Move aside the Rock.
You ever seen one called Super Callow from that era, right?
Yeah.
Like, he'd be a very like sort of NXT 2.0 version of that. He would wrestle in like a sort of mask with a pair of shades and like sort
I
of
like him already.
baggy clothes sometimes. He'd botch half fist up and he was like, yeah, I'm Super Callow. I take my shades off and no.
I did like Super Callis.
He's a weird guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He messed up a lot. Like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
that time when at WrestleMania 32 when Sasha Banks like under rotates, but as a result sort of changes the dive.
Yes.
She's like she has to kind of like flip in midair to make it work. Like Super Callis did a lot of those because he was kind of just deciding as he was running. What we're doing? Don't know.
I like the sound of him. But post-match, it's not over this because out walks Jake the Snake onto the stage. And suddenly, Hologram and Komander are attacked by 3 men. Roosh, Drilistico, and... Oh, God, I've forgotten to write the third man's name down.
Oh, I'll help you out with
thanks.
The Beast, Mortos.
And 2/3 of them, except the one that Sidge said, does the LFI pose. And then finally, Mortos puts his fist in, as does Roberts on the stage. So I guess Jake the Snake's manager of the LFI.
Right, okay. First of all, that's just plain weird in and of itself. Not into it. It's one of those, no offense to Jake Roberts, right? But he doesn't really do much. And maybe they're just saying, if you're feeling good, come along and we'll look for something for you. It's because I know how AEW was booked and treated Jake Roberts, like behind the scenes, brilliantly by all accounts. Mm-hmm. If Roberts is associated with an act through no fault of Roberts' own, I now take that act much less seriously because I know that they don't really. It was more of a hint or a sort of a tell for, it's an experimentalist in this nth LFI reboot. And what's weird, it's like, didn't they say a talent exchange? Mm-hmm. I was expecting Hobbs. I was firmly expecting Hobbs because he's actually a part of the Don Callis family from which they were exchanging talent between Callis and Robert.
No. I pay attention to AEW. That's
no, shut up, man. I know that Don Callis scouted Roosh once and basically was like, think about it. And Roosh was like, maybe I'll think about it. And he didn't join the family. So there's no exchange.
What's up, stud?
Tell me about it. So I don't know.
What's like 1 week, wasn't it? Oh, Roosh. I forgot that.
Is that what they would? Is that the implication that?
I think so. I think it was just like they had the chat and then they got together. Literally nothing happened. I'm sick of you, body. Swap you.
Pathetic.
Got, need.
Yeah.
Swap you.
We'll see how this goes. Anyway, Lexi Nair's backstage with Mark Briscoe. They recap the horrific line from
Jay Roberts should bring the Beast Mortos out in like a sack over his back, like one of the snakes.
Yeah.
See the beast head sticking out.
Oh, God, I'm into it, they reference Chris Jericho's lines about Jay Briscoe in the promo with Mark Briscoe the other week, and Mark Briscoe doing a backstage promo, very serious for once from him, says Jericho didn't need to take it where he did, and at Wrestle Dream, never mind about the ROH title, he's going to hurt Chris Jericho.
Very good.
Yeah.
I like this serious side of Mark.
What more of it, the less of a caricature he is, the better. You could make an argument, and I've said this before, that you could just go with Briscoe as your guy for a bit. You know? You really could. He's awesome.
Daniel Garcia comes out, though. He's back, and he says it's great to feel the energy of the crowd. He's missed this after sitting at home for a while. Thanks, Tony Khan, for giving him this time. Says when you're sitting at home, you question what's best for your life, despite not being the easiest or best answer. He says, never want to be a guy who didn't follow through on his word, but it was important to look everyone in the eye and let him know what he's going to do. He came to the conclusion he can do whatever he wants. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And because he's one of the best, he's only right that he stays where the best wrestle, AEW. But he says this Daniel Garcia isn't the same one as before. He's no longer the little bro who complains and cries after every loss. He's the one you can build a foundation on. He's going to put gold around his waist. And he puts basically the champs in AEW on notice and the feelings restored.
There would have been... I think there's one more example. I think when he had that, remember that little really cool short-term program he had with Christian Cage? And he cut a really good promo. And I just was fired up by Garcia on the mic for probably the very first time. I would say this was his second best promo. In terms of the content, he knew what was happening. He's not going to say, yeah, I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to NXT. See you later, guys. So he's obviously not going to say that, so maybe it was a bit long-winded. The bait and switch.
I'm sorry you've got me for 5 more years.
Yeah.
Pack your bags, because you're coming to judges' houses.
So I knew where it was going, and there was an element of the, I'm here to represent AEW, but then he also balanced that out by saying, I want some gold.
Yes.
I'm not fighting for AEW, or they don't need me, or I need to fight. I want some individual gold. So if I'm them, they need to get that TNT title off Jack Perry.
I thought before even we saw
they need to get him off that because it's just simply not working. They need to completely reevaluate what they are doing with Jack Perry, and Garcia could be a TNT champion easily. I know there was just something about it was a bit tell don't show of forget about everything you've seen. This is the real quiz. This is the real new Daniel Garcia. I thought he was delivering his composure and he just felt reinvigorated. I believed in him. Basically, I believed him. Even if the content was a bit, I believed him.
Yeah, it's good news for AEW, and maybe it speaks to the sort of the wider malaise around AEW, or what people maybe, if you're watching both companies or you're engaged online and you're listening, watching us and stuff, if you're kind of into the whole thing at the moment, it maybe speaks to sort of a, cool, rather than because I think people were genuinely leaning in on the idea of him moving.
Yeah.
And like, what does that look like? It's okay for talent to switch now, because what you're seeing is a bunch of wrestlers benefiting from the breath of fresh air, and Garcia was feeling like he was one of them. It maybe just speaks to where a lot of people are at with AEW, that this didn't generate that sort of Bret Hart in 1996. I'm not going over here. Yes! Like, thank God we've kept Bret. Like, this wasn't quite that. If this was 2021 or even 2022, and there was just interest in him because he'd gotten hot, and he was like, the buildings were a bit fuller, and it's like, I'm the best wrestler, and this is where the best wrestler, and I'm staying in AEW, huge pop, yeah, take that, like the Fed, whatever. Like, the narrative shifted a bit, so these ones currently don't work. I think if you did a WWE version of this with a young WWE guy, there'd be a sense of, yes, we're keeping X. Javon Evans, right? Like, notwithstanding that last night, like, I'm staying with NXT for like 5 more years, whatever. Yes, like staying put, like, rather than the reverse of this was probably Nathan Frazier. Like, when he went to WWE, when he picked WWE, there was a sense of, lost a good one there. Yeah. Like, that would have been the case with Garcia once upon a time, and I just don't think that's where the optics are currently.
It's been pointed out that I saw a tweet, I can't remember who it was, but they've not really told the story on TV. Maybe people in the audience were nonplussed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good point. We're very much in the bubble for this sort of thing, so we've been talking about it on the reg. But yeah, he basically, if you're not, I mean, I don't.
But then who like?
You never know how big the bubble is, do you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, my mindset is how you're not online.
Because
that's just,
if you go into an AEW show, surely, like, other than the local people that's checking out the wrestling, there must be like you must be pretty plugged in.
It's this thing. AEW fans of all fans, you'd expect to be plugged in, but I mean, they didn't seem to know where he was going with it. There is the issue that he wasn't that over, and I said this during the MGF program. He really wasn't that over. You can get there. I've said it for a long time. I'm a big supporter of Garcia's, flaws and all. Maybe it's that. I never know how big the bubble is, right? FTR is the key example, right? They were so ungodly over in 2022. Does FTR, and I know it's hard for anyone to get over in such a cold company, I'm sorry. But is that accelerated with FTR specifically because of Dax Harwood's online presence? If he doesn't log on to Twitter or record a podcast, do they remain like one of the more over acts because they are called? I told you, if they were in Chikara, they'd be called stagnant. And I did say that last week, didn't I?
remember. That stuck with me.
Stagnant. That's what it is. Hey, stagnant. Tell him stagnant.
Right, we see footage of Swerve training with EJ and Duca, cut together with the footage of Nana and MVP. And MVP basically calling out the Swerve's recent failures. And then MVP and Shelton are backstage watching. Swerve's going to be at Wrestle Dream.
That's the Lashley debut, isn't it?
Probably.
They're not doing a match, so I would expect them to destroy Swerve at Wrestle Dream, hometown, get some heat, and then do Lashley, Swerve at Full Gear.
Do you think the plan originally was Lashley destroys Darby and then they've just changed it?
I've fantasy booked it. I've just fantasy booked it.
Good, though. You wouldn't have needed, like, Darby chinning him with a rock in the build, would you? Like, it just would have been a cool pairing. We'll get it now. It's going to be a Dynamite 8 weeks, isn't it? Like,
now that I'm continuing to dwell on it, I really hate that the wasted that rock thing. When Brody King was like, well, come on, stand up, let's have a fair fight. The baby face. What? It would have been so cool to do that, talk about the rock, and then get back at the bully with the rock.
There's going to be a comment in the thing saying, yeah, they're bad blood. They were loving having the rock. So, bias to WWE?
Probably. I love the rock, man.
Right. Did you see his weird, like, take the piss out of it? He's doing that thing where he's like, he puts things to his throat and he can't decide if it's a gun or a knife. So it's not both. It's his knifey gun. What is it?
Okay, it's the best.
He just does it. Just does.
Right. I don't know where this came from, but I popped for it. Renee Paquette suddenly goes, Spokane, say hello to your CEO. And Mercedes walks in going, That's my thing. Stop doing that. It's Mercedes.
Money.
I am weird, but I'm broadly in favour of make Renee the women's division Schiavone.
Yeah.
Like, everyone thinks Renee Paquette is incredible because she is. If you can get someone to treat her with contempt, you think, oh, Mercedes.
Yeah.
Dickhead.
Tear up, yeah.
Didn't really work, but I don't hate the line of thinking.
It was a way to them for Mercedes to say, oh, everyone's got an issue with me, even on Twitter, takes a shot at Chris Statlander, mentions Emi Sakura, says she's been wrestling longer than I've been alive. Mone changes everything. They're setting up the match for later on. The second women's match on this show.
Yeah.
And then we see Daniel Garcia. Another thing that brought me here. Daniel Garcia is walking backstage and he's congratulated by the likes of Isaiah Cassidy, Anna Jay, Cool Cal O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, Colt Cabana, and Katsuyori Shibata, who uses his phone to tell him that he's going to be the next TNT champion. And there's just a weird sort of like end of 80s sitcom freeze frame where he's like, this guy. I don't know, it tickled me so much. But basically, Garcia's hopefully getting a TNT title shot, obviously, as you alluded to earlier on, and hopefully winning the belt. Moving on, it's time for our... Let me just check my notes here, Sid. First of 2 women's matches on this show.
Yeah.
Full length as well.
Until next week.
Yes. It was not what we anticipated, not Britt Baker versus Willow Nightingale, but it was a 4-way to determine who gets the women's title shot at Wrestle Dream. Britt Baker is ill, get well soon, so wasn't able to travel, and therefore she was replaced by Nyla Rose, Jamie Hayter, and Saraya in this 4-way with Willow. Saraya immediately bails once the bell rings, of course. Nyla Rose, great to see her back in a wrestling ring. It's been ages.
All ex-champions there.
Yes.
Which is a nice... Tony Khan / Will Washington thing where it's like, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
They all used to be champions, so you can hide them in. It's almost like you've got like a legacy shot always just in case.
Yeah.
It was like you justified it for the match and also came in useful later on for something that you want to talk about, and both of you want to talk about, in fact. But yeah, Nyla Rose reminds us of a power slamming Willow Nightingale. After attempting a superplex on Hayter, Nightingale almost cut off Rose with a powerbomb, but Rose countered with a Hurricane Rana. There's a moment where it looks like Hayter and Willow are about to face off when Harley Cameron and Saraya attack from behind. I think, oh God, bro, ring the bell, it's a DQ. But then, Sid, I was reminded, of course.
Perfectly legal, Cole.
Roll to the outside. And a big bunch of them. And then Nyla Rose flies in, takes everyone out. Cameron just punches Hayter right in the face, which got a big reaction from Tony Schiavone and a nice line from Mariah May, who was on commentary, asked if he needed a mint or a blue chew. Funny, sometimes you catch that. Come back from the break. Hayter gets out of a doctor bomb from Nightingale and hits a hate breaker. Saraya runs in with a thrust kick, but gets taken out by a Nyla Rose clothesline. Willow's back up, though, hits Rose with a spine buster. Everyone's down. Hayter hit a double suplex on Rose and Nightingale at the same time. Hang on.
Enemy!
Sorry, wrong button.
Well, you did tell the truth, but...
Oh my God.
Saraya tried a chair shot, but got cut off, and Hayter just hit with a chair. Holly Cameron tries to intervene again. She gets gotten rid of. But then Penelope Ford runs down with a chair, smacks Hayter on the back, and then she gets chased by Hayter. No, where you going? The match is still on. Through to the back. Crowd want tables.
Getting to the back on your return. So, it was weird, that.
Rose hit a neck breaker on Saraya, goes up top, and Harley Cameron shoves her off top, and she takes a rough old bump on the edge of the ring.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's great, yeah. Harley Cameron has an incredible one-on-one match with the table, trying to get it into the ring, while Saraya and Nightingale are fighting. Saraya hit Nightingale with a good night. The table gets set up in the corner, but there's a miscommunication between Harley Cameron and Saraya. Nightingale hits a doctor bomb. Saraya gets sent through the table with a DVD.
Fans love that table spot.
And Willow pins both of them to get the win. She celebrates up the ramp. Mariah May's waiting, tries to slap, but Nightingale catches it. So May headbutts her and then hits her with a women's title to stand tall at the end of all this.
I've got a question. One that I didn't think I would ever ask, rather. Does AEW have a rich history of 4-way women's matches?
Yeah.
Because I had a great time.
Like a load of
I don't think it was a great match, but I think it was very fun. It was the best possible version of itself. Look, you could probably piss and moan that the interference, even in the excused nature of the match, was a bit much, but it's Saraya. She needs all the help she can get. There was a match within a match.
Panicked a little bit when I might have missed it earlier on. I certainly didn't see any of it on social media. When Willow came out and they said there's no Brit and Saraya showed up, I was like, oh. But then they brought out Hayter and Nyla Rose, so I think that was the right decision. Like
Definitely. Most definitely. Everything that Hayter and Willow did together looked awesome. They've probably wrestled one-on-one before, maybe when Willow was just sort of getting those shots before she became part of the main cast, I feel like. And I recall?
Maybe?
Do I recall that they had a match once? I was like, oh, it was only okay. They had an interaction here that kicked ass. That was proper struggle behind it, proper intent behind everything. It just looked like they were kicking each other's ass in there. Instantly made me want to see a match between them, but then I'm thinking, it's a shame one of you would have to turn if you're going to do an actual proper full-ed program. The way we've manipulated our voices is absolutely insane, just incidentally. A great time with them two interacting. It's my favourite minute of the entire broadcast, telecast, was them two. And then so when Hayter was taken out, I was like, but then it was effective, the double teams. I thought this was really good.
Me too. It was...
sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, as a make good, it was possibly better than what we might have had.
It was way better than the match we were going to get.
Like, it was, which is always a benefit. The one criticism, and it's not the fault of the match at all, because it was laid out really well, especially when you know what they're doing is something they weren't planning to have to do. So it showed the good, I guess, instincts or the ability to piece something together with four of them. It's an AEW problem, not even a women's division problem, that Jamie Hayter has been normalised to such an extent. Like, I think there was a lot of bargaining going on with the Wembley comeback because it was still the pre-show and it was like, here.
Yeah.
And then the Saraya feud that has already outstayed its welcome with a payoff that I know you were particularly cross about on Grand Slam Collision, and the sense that they're still willing to have it hang on to stuff here. And it's just I know they're going to move on to other stuff now. But
not really. They've just set up an angle to do more stuff with Saraya's faction.
Yeah, Penelope Ford just part of it.
Yeah. But sorry, Penelope Ford is a new bit, but you're still stuck with Saraya, or they're in the Saraya vortex. But it just doesn't, I don't know. I don't think this division's improved by leaps and bounds, but I don't think it's in such amazing health that you can think, oh no, we can just wait with her. We'll just let Jamie Hayter simmer. People were rooting for her return for a full year.
Yeah.
And this is where we're at with it already. She really slipped into the sludge.
I couldn't believe they did it on that. We were going to get food at that time.
We were getting
tendies. That was it. Oh, they were good tendies as well.
Tendies.
Wembley tendies.
Wembley tendies. I can tell you, yes, they fought 3 times prior to this. Only one singles match.
And I remember thinking, it was only okay that. But this preview of something hopefully to come I loved it.
They worked a Rampage one-on-one back when we were probably reviewing it, actually.
What's the date?
September 2022.
Yeah, I was thinking 2022.
Yeah.
And then did a couple of... they did 1 3-on-3. Athena, Tony Storm and Willow Nightingale versus Jamie Hayter, Penelope Ford and Serena Deeb. And then 1 3-way tag for Thanksgiving Eve Dynamite. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter defeat Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale and the TJAS.
The part of it is that Willow Nightingale is an extremely memorable wrestler. When a lot of wrestlers fade in the background or get the 6 week pushes and then you never see them again, for the pretty much, it's not just a now thing or the brief title or anything, it's the duration of a run. It's somebody that feels that she's been backed from the very beginning because she's kind of an irresistible pro wrestler. You can't not like her. So I've got a better memory for some of that stuff than half of the we were doing the Wrestle Dream card yesterday, and half of that upper card I wouldn't remember, but I can visualise that match, that Jamie Hayter singles match.
We would be remiss not to mention that the booking's absolutely pathetic. Chris Statlander beat Willow Nightingale at All Out. Willow Nightingale has now been positioned. Yes, she's had to win a match here, but she's been positioned for the world title program, and Chris Statlander is in the TBS. What are we doing here? That's so stupid.
Yeah,
absolutely stupid. The most easy. How do you make those mistakes? I don't get it. I personally do not get it. Moreover, the idea that Statlander, who is so over All Out, who's so incredible, basically turning default face, de facto baby face, because she's no longer associated with Stokely Hathaway. Why would they agree to go their separate ways? They were on the kayfabe.
They've been very successful.
They've been very successful. We're on the cusp of titles now. Let's get it.
Let's get out on top. Let's get out on nearly top.
It's just
all the great.
And then Statlander's presumably going to lose to
Probably.
Mercedes. Like, what are we doing here? This is so rubbish. I think this women's division has taken a turn over the past however many weeks after All Out. What like Mariah May's title since the All In, All Out doubleheader, Mariah May's title reign has quite frankly sucked. Yeah. Mercedes Moné continues to just not be it. The logic and the finishes and where the finishes lead to is absolutely insane.
The talent's there, isn't it, at the end of the day?
They've had a mare with this women's division over the last month.
I'm the learning tree came next there backstage. And Big Bill says people who need lessons, the most are the ones that want them the least. And they go up to Rocky Romero, who sat on a flight case or something backstage. Put up your dukes.
Pathetic.
Not here for a fight. Jericho says it's time for learning.
I'm not here to fight. I'm doing one of my other several jobs.
Rocky Romero needs to learn his self-worth. They talk about Romero joining the conglomeration months after they were already set up and him not even being on the T-shirt and being there just to take care of Smart Mark Sterling, which is the lowest spot possible in AEW, basically, says Jericho. You want to be a lackey your whole career? Romero said he's no man's lackey. Jericho talks about becoming the ROH champion on Saturday. And Big Bill says, when you're in the picture, you can't see the whole picture. And Brian Keith, I love him, just goes, you better respect Chris Jericho or else. Rocky's like, or else what?
I have not seen the Rampage announced card. I'm assuming Brian Keith versus Rocky Romero is booked for it.
And that's
on the
why
back of this. There are so many segments on a regular episode of Dynamite these days that are so 2019 WWE asked. They were just characters, faces and heels having conversations that would just never happen in real life. That just happened to be in the same part of the building. Was it even a sense of, was this invisible camera stuff?
I was going to ask that. Was it like Big Bill saying, "Oh, we want to show you a lesson here," or was that only implied rather than said?
I don't know. He looked at the camera.
Yeah.
He used to be so careful. It was actually a little bit tedious how they'd go when no, the camera's on us and we're going to tell you, but at least they did it. I'd noticed just this weird think, all one word, it's just infiltrated AEW's programming. And again, right, Rocky Romero, I think, is a really talented wrestler. Loved a lot of what he did in New Japan. I'm not saying he isn't a talented wrestler, right? He's very much not a beloved member of the cast. And that was the joy of the conglomeration. It's like, these guys knocking about, they're all great and they've got chemistry. It made a mockery of my very facetious, this guy's teaming with that guy bit. It's like, love all you, and it's really cool that I'm hanging out. Does any AEW fan have this true, deep appreciation for Rocky Romero where you just really like him in that kind of way?
Picture him.
Because Rocky Romero doesn't have me feeling a certain kind of way. The other ones do.
It's Roy in the pooch. It's Roy Romero.
Roy Romero?
Bye, Rocky. See him watch.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I think he just wants to get involved, and I don't want him to get involved in this. Other things, not this.
It's like, I'm not advocating for...
we need to hurry up, by the way.
Oh, do we? Sorry, I'll keep this brief.
It's fine.
I would never advocate for, like...
Priority, aren't we? So.
The Vince McMahon overproduction years of, like, everything being lit beautifully backstage or whatever. The curtain...
Like a tit or whatever.
Thank you. The curtain that you used to dread, because if there was one thing you knew about the interview in front of this curtain, it's that it's about to be interrupted. And the top-down... One of my favourite ever of your visuals that you conjured is the top-down view of the long lines of opposing wrestlers. Seeing at the other side of the queue. I'll be there. When I get there, I'll be there as well.
We'll have some chat. Some very artificial and synthetic chat.
How, like, low rent, nothing concerned did all of this look.
Oh, God.
Like that dimly lit, yellowy corridor with this shitty Chris Jericho act and this boring-ass Rocky Romero act down a boring-looking corridor. And it's like, if the cameras weren't there, it's like, I wouldn't even care that you were having crosswords. It couldn't have felt more like, I'm not bothered.
Not bothered.
Very quickly, spoilers for Rampage. If you don't want to know this, skip forward a minute. We'll keep this very brief. You're right, Sidge. Brian Keith faces Rocky Romero.
I swear to God, I had no idea, but you kind of guessed.
And also, another spoiler.
I'm just going to want to watch that.
Chris Statlander beats Amira, and you know what that means.
Oh, God, she might beat Mercedes Moné.
Son of a bitch.
She might?
Yep.
I won't spoil any more of Rampage. We'll get back to
People like this sort of thing with twats. I can never decide. Like, this is the bit where they're like, dickheads. They used to really be different to the rest of those internet pundits.
But we are. We're better.
Oh, I agree. But look what's happened to them. Mocking our Rampage.
He gives a crap about Rampage.
Warner Brothers Discovery don't. Not much is evident.
AEW don't.
You know,
AEW don't care.
You know what David Zaslav calls Rampage? His waste paper basket.
One of the only professional wrestling podcasts that's actually worth a
Subscribe or whatever. Like a tit or whatever.
Switchblade Jay White was in action next. He squashed Cody Chhun. Actually, a bit of offense for Cody.
Yeah, but why?
And they were sort of like, oh, it's Jay White.
Blade Runner and get out.
Jay White has kind
So
of
they should
lost
have
a step, bit ring rust or whatever. He got hit with a Manhattan drop and a leg lariat and a DDT. So he just fires back with a lariat, half suplex. Uranagi, big Uranagi, and the Blade Runner gets the 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And then he cuts a promo afterwards. Tells Hangman Page he's one of the 2 men who knocked him off his path to the AEW World title. He's one of the 2 wrongs that White must right. What are you gonna do about it, Page? He's gonna come around with guns blazing, veins popping out of his head, no doubt. That's what White wants. Hangman's switchblade once more. When Jay White wins, he says, I'll move on to correcting wrong number 2 and move on to the gold. White says it's funny, the same voices who booed and despised him are the same voices who will support Switchblade Jay White, AEW World Champion. It all starts with Hangman this Saturday at Wrestle Dream.
I'll never know whether he can really be a main eventer. And the worst thing about Jay White, who is also sometimes amazing, is that they've always, from day one, said he's going to be that.
So did New Japan.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry. So
That's
not
what I'm
just
saying.
yeah.
So all the way back to, when was it, 2018, 2019, his first
The
game?
Wrestle Kingdom against Tanner, wasn't it?
Yeah. Since that, it's always been like, well, he's kind of like an Orton-asked push.
Yeah.
I prefer him to Orton vastly, but still more Orton than a true... I don't know. This promo didn't really convince me otherwise.
Connecting the old
Couldn't take my eyes
dads.
off Juice in the corner. I just love looking at him. Just sunglasses. What are you doing? You're not doing anything. I can't stop looking at you.
This did put me back in mind of the Christian Cage thing, though, because Christian Cage cashing in would make sense of Jay White saying, I've got one more wrong to right, and the other wrong was Christian Cage because he was the other one that fought him in the Owen. So if Christian Cage got the world title, that's Jay White's route back to that. I'm not saying Christian Cage versus Jay White is an exhilarating world title match, but that would tie those things together.
Oh, I guess.
Sage, can
You
you...
say some stuff, and he used to get all excited when he says things like that. Sage, what's changed?
AEW's got worse. That's what's changed, brother.
Not us.
Sid, can you...
It isn't.
Yes.
For this next one, apologies to the audio listeners, can you play a physical role for me in this next recap? Can you play the role of... As I run through what Hook said backstage with the camera crew, he said, I'm tired of chasing whoever attacked my father. I'm going to go and fight whoever... Well, what the hell do you think you're doing, pal? Sorry. Keep saying you stumbled into Hook.
Enjoyed that.
And said, oh, by the way, it's not me that attacked your father. This is not my way of revealing it by stumbling backwards into you.
Everyone just happened to be in the same place again.
And who else should show up? Yeah, but Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Nick Wayne's mom, who's still got it going on. Cage says they're both family men. He lost Killswitch to a serious medical situation and gives Hook's condolences on the injury to his father. And Hook's just still fizzing.
That's obviously what you're doing, Hook.
What are you doing, Hook?
You went to college and you played lacrosse. You got me that dumb.
I've got just the plan. Stand in a corridor and hope a camera finds me and the potential perpetrators. And
then-
what if none of that happens? Oh, you'll see.
And his luck would have it.
It did.
Kind of did. It's where it's going, but he's still just looking nonplussed. So stupid. Like, we were talking about this again in the office, bitching about it in the office. It's like, it's not too far removed from Aleister Black and WWE just waiting for someone to have a fight with him. What if he just stood there the whole time? What if he has just stood there the whole time? WWE, it's not AEW's fault this. WWE has got so much to answer for. Nah, it is AEW's fault. Why are you just doing things that they did for years that they don't even really do anymore? I mean, they do a bit. Oh, cable television wrestling sucks ass.
Christian never goes backstage. The cameras never feel the need to cut to Hook. Yeah. Like, where it was Hook last night, and then the Twitter report, he was actually stood there backstage the whole time, just knowing none of the perpetrators arrived. So it's their fault, if anything.
What a load of crap.
Keep saying it.
Like a Scooby-Doo thing. Oh, bloody hell, John!
So am I to believe that since stealing Christian Cage's pen, Has there been 2 Dynamites since Grand Slam?
Yeah.
There have been 2 Dynamites and Collisions, 3 TV programs, 3 TV tapings since Grand Slam. Has Kip Sabian been turning up to work just to run away from the patriarch? Is that what's been happening?
Yeah. But his pen collection is awesome. Takes one a week.
What are they doing with Kip's? It's pathetic.
Kip Sabi pen. I don't know. Pen guy.
If you want to check
Nib
out his,
Sabian. The
Nib
pen nib?
if you want to check out his collection, just go online. Penisland.com apparently is a really good place to see. Don't Google that.
Kids. We can't get on YouTube.
Join
kids.
us for the NXT review later on today. We've got some good jokes for you kids. Don't
I
worry.
check my kids' YouTube kids things to make sure we can't be
I
found.
did the bath toy steals the water.
Oh,
Everyone hated it, man.
well, glad it's not my joke. That's all.
My wife looked appalled with Stax's ballerina joke. She popped. She
Yeah,
yeah,
obviously.
but she was appalled.
Renee Paquette is... Oh, here we go. Right, okay, here we go. Renee Paquette's backstage with Mariah May. Willow, before she get a question to her, basically, Willow Nightingale just bounces her out of the frame. Bloody good.
Bloody good pounds.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mariah May goes flying and Willow says, I'm just going to keep this brief. I defeated 3 former women's champions tonight. Come Saturday, I'll beat another one and win the AEW women's title.
I am going to repeat this on the preview for the pay-per-view. So sorry, that's too much. They need to open. There's been pay-per-views, right, where the 4th match on the card has been great. No one ever says, what's the best 4th match on a pay-per-view ever?
Yeah.
People talk about pay-per-view openers all the time. They are so important. If they just give the women some pay-per-view openers, then that kind of gently changes and slowly transforms that conversation that we still need to have 5 years in. Willow and Mariah should open this pay-per-view.
The only reason I
It
disagree.
just gives it, even it fakes a sense of importance surrounding the women's division.
Oh, totally,
Not that
yeah.
you should fake it, you should go with it. But
The
you know
only
what I
reason-
mean?
Only reason I disagree is because I actually think Willow should close it and retire Bryan Danielson and become the world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
You love it, don't you?
But I just give her the world. Like, I just want to care about wrestlers on this show. There's 100 f***ing wrestlers, and I never care about any of them these days. And Willow Nightingale is one of the ones that insists that you care about what she's doing. I was really struck. Like, my mind wandered thinking about after the Mercedes Moné talk yesterday about all the matches she's been in, where, like, you cannot not watch and be entertained. Yeah. And AEW is crying out for people like that.
Yeah, I really like Willow Nightingale. Sorry, I've just been distracted by another match I've seen been added to Wrestle Dream. I have no idea where that's come from. Well, I know sort of where it's come
Rampage, probably.
from. Yeah, I think it is.
It's not Conglomeration versus the Learning Tree, is it?
Nope.
Well, that's spoilers. People don't want spoilers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything else.
After the podcast, obviously, I don't care about Rampage.
Does that mean Jericho's not on?
He's fighting Mark Briscoe.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
you're
be stupid.
For our world title.
Don't be stupid. He's on it, but Hook isn't. Do you not understand how this works, mate? Hook won the feud. Yeah. And Chris Jericho's on the pay-per-view and Hook isn't. What part of this rub don't you understand?
Yeah, but I bet it's going to be a nightmare driving to that baby with all those pennies in his car.
Now, Hook's on the pay-per-view. It's just whether or not the camera goes to him or not.
Yes,
That's not up to
yeah.
him. Like, he's there the whole time.
Anyone want to confess?
It's one of them, like, old police officer, like a hard-boiled cop. Hook investigates.
He's scouting out the venue like Cody and Metro Boomin. Is it happening? Willow's great. So, in summary.
Yeah.
Then it was time for Mercedes.
Money.
Versus Emi Sakura for the TBS and New Japan Strong Women's titles. Thoughts? Sorry, I just thought there was a look there as it exchanged.
It's all right, isn't it? She lost a snap.
It's a fastball.
Get your snap back.
I had a feeling that was coming. Yeah, they back each other into the corner, fire off some chops. Sakura hits some machine gun chops. Mone goes up top, but gets hit with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Sakura. But she sidesteps a corner charge, sweeps the leg to the outside, and hits a meteora off the steps, takes to a break. When we come back, Sakura's again firing off chops, but eats a backstabber out the corner for 2. Mone hits the double knees, tries again, but Sakura moves and Mone falls out to the floor. So Sakura targets the legs, hit a splash as she's hung up on the railing, sends Kamille into the rail as well, and splashes both of them with a charging crossbody. A stalling butterfly backbreaker connects when they get back inside, but Mone rolls to the ropes and gets involved with the ring apron. And as the ref's distracting himself sorting that out, Kamille trips up Sakura and Mone puts her in the statement maker, the new bank statement, obviously, to get the submission win. Post-match, they're going to beat her up some more, but Chris Statlander runs down to make the save.
Some cool stuff in here. Like, I love the splash on Mercedes when she was upside down on the barricade. And there was some cool stuff here, right? You know how I'm going to try and implement a new system for rating matches, because the star ratings overplayed. I've got a new one. The best matches in the world, or some of the best matches in the world, maybe we go, just bleed, because I'm just so turned on by the pro wrestling violence. That's the noise I make for a match that's got a really particularly violent or gutsy nature. There's like the shriek matches when you're watching something like Young Bucks Twist or whatever. So I'm going to try and implement, I'm going to try and really take this seriously and start developing this new system and really fleshing it out.
I like that.
I've got a new noise for... Mercedes has a lot of these matches, but they happen a lot in AEW and across the world. But there's a specific genre of Mercedes TV matches, and these are the noises I make, right? Where I go... So the story of that noise is... That's so-so.
Yeah.
Oh, it's starting to get a bit good. It's over.
Yeah. I like that. Have you seen those?
So it goes like, just to, you know.
Because just a match would never get that. It wouldn't get to that, would it? If it was just a match.
It never goes,
yeah.
but goes,
Have you ever seen those Instagram reels where it's like...
just when it's starting to maybe get pretty good.
Yeah. You ever seen those Instagram reels where it's like ranking a club's shirts over the years? And it's like that. They use different memes. So like,
I like
you know,
some of that
like,
content.
I tell you
I'm
what,
into
that's
that.
bloody lovely, that is. Or there's Michael Rose
That is
going,
absolutely.
nice. Or there's one that, oh, you're ruining it. Look at my lips, you're ruining it, right? And a different selection of it all.
into this.
They do that for all the kits. You should have that for the matches.
Yeah.
So at the top of the scale is you where I can't do it. That one, I love that one.
That's Omega Okada, Danielson Swerve.
Because it's better. It's normally better because Nicholas can change to that one because it's better when it's just straight onto you.
The one from when we did the All-In review where he's stuck one on at the end. So we've just been like talking, banter, pop, then hardcore. As he was screaming. It's great.
Oh, scream at me.
It's like the sort of like as if we're podcasters trying to make podcast chaos, like when wrestling tries to make it.
Yeah.
That scream actually denotes real chaos.
Your thoughts?
Very few. I probably wasn't as high as Sidge.
I wasn't high on it, bro.
No, yeah, sorry. I don't want to misquote you there. I never expected Mercedes Mone to turn up in AEW and have like 5-star matches every single week because that wasn't even her form in WWE.
No.
But she was at worst a safe pair of hands and at best like a carry merchant, somebody that elevated stuff. Like how much bad material did she elevate over the years, you know, especially in the big matches. And it's just never, outside of Willow Nightingale, it's never materialized, ever. And it's just, I'm not closing the door or anything like that, but it just, at this point, she's working from that position of having to sort of like win you round and prove you wrong, and that's never the narratives I would have imagined attaching to her so soon into this run. There's always time, and I imagine she's a type of wrestler that stubbornly wants to keep at this, and she knows, and that, you know, she'll be sort of clued into that, but it's just not... I want it for her. Love the horsewomen, like really emotionally attached to the 4 horsewomen, but this isn't it at the moment.
I want it for her. It's not happening. And when this match before I went, before I made that noise and my attention was drifting, I was thinking, 8,000 for big business, considering what AEW's become in terms of its gates and how the money run has gone. How was that this year?
Yeah.
How is there such hype? I mean, look, nothing's happening.
Next up.
Oh my God.
Is that Private Party? Renee Paquette's with them. It all works.
I don't think they're winning on Saturday. Doesn't feel like that big moment.
Stokely Hathaway's there.
And that's why this is good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's been watching the past few weeks. Every time they get an opportunity, they knock it out of the park. So
Yeah, I bet he has.
Didn't they get like... Yeah. The stinks.
His client won. His client won a biggest ever match at the last pay-per-view. And then he dropped the client who's after these new losers. What's he playing at?
Who beat Iron Savages in a minute.
He says, imagine what we could do, basically. Offers his hand to them, and Mark Quinn says, another person who's trying to jump on the bandwagon after 2 weeks. Where were you the last 5 years? They turn him down, and Mark Quinn...
Don't take the piss.
Stokely's like, well, I didn't want to be anywhere near Matt Hardy for starters. That might have helped.
Isaiah Cassidy.
You know Matt Hardy.
Isaiah Cassidy,
Awful.
I think it was, who says...
It was awful.
We don't need anyone in our corner. We want this, we need this. We'll take the tag titles away from the Young Bucks, and then it's a party everyone's invited to.
I don't think the titles are changing hands on Saturday, to be honest. I don't want them to. God damn it. I don't think
It's all about the match, isn't it? Can this match remake
Yeah.
Private Party? That's what we're watching for.
But the story that like we're on the cusp, what's happening? If it does happen, I'll be really surprised because this is pretty low effort, guys. It's pretty low effort, Tony.
Tony Schiavone welcomes international champion Will Ospreay to the ring. He talks about Konosuke Takeshita interfering in his match with Ricochet. Schiavone
Did you do it?
Schiavone says he's got Don Callis' fingerprints all over it, and Ospreay agrees.
Can do it, did you? Tell me the truth.
Oh, it's got me. You do it. Right. Really?
Every Will Ospreay promo's in the Vic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just drop it in the Queen Vic.
Oh, he talks to me like this. I ain't my mother.
I am.
Right.
You think it's a big deal around here, Phil? Will Mitchell. Yeah?
You need slapping down.
Ospreay puts over Ricochet, says Takeshita. Doesn't do anything without Don Callis giving him the go-ahead. So he wants answers from Callis. Nah. And out comes Don Callis. Tries for a hug. Ospreay's like, no. Callis says he's got something important to say to Ospreay. Last week was difficult for him emotionally. He hates to see Ospreay unhappy. Talks about when they were both a team and they beat Kenny Omega and beat Chris Jericho and all that. He says, we ain't here to talk about last year. We want to talk about it last week. Did you send Takeshita? And Callis keeps dodging the question, obviously. And he eventually gives in and says,
Goddamn right I did.
You wouldn't listen. He had to be shown who makes decisions in the family. So he left the family.
He left the family, man. He left. They made it clear. This was the one favour, and he left.
Anyway, sorry. I know I'm...
No, that's a big plot hole. I'm glad we all acknowledge it.
It's the biggest plot hole
It's
in
a
the
massive
world.
one. Everybody watching going, you f***ing left.
Yeah.
That was integral to this tag team agreement because you were kind of owed him one. You wouldn't have done this by choice. Bad.
Anyway.
Sucks, man.
We're not. I'll let you cover the whole thing in a second. He says, we were so bloody close to winning the tag titles 2 weeks ago. You were mentally weak. Ospreay says, I won you this, the international title. And
I got this piece of shit.
He's got a busy day, you know. He's swearing a lot. Time and place to do it.
Oh, I thought it is, yeah. Here he goes, all sweary numbers over here. Now he's choosing the times.
Old expletive Jones. Get well soon, Taz. I do love you.
he says, if Callis didn't stick his nose in his business, he would have been the world champion as well. He says, Callis, Ospreay this is, says, you don't know, shh. Callis said, well, I had the best wrestler in the world, but I threw him in the garbage for you. So maybe I should throw the best wrestler in the world now in the garbage.
What is he, Stokely Hathaway? This company is, I don't know, I'm not saying it's finished, but it needs a root and branch upheaval, in my opinion.
Ospreay
Great
says,
plan, Bart.
Ospreay says, you everything I got warned you about. You're a scum, you are. You're done. And Callis slaps Ospreay.
He's slapping down.
Ospreay throws him down. Takeshita hits the ring, obviously. And then Cole Fletcher comes in, tries to talk sense to Ospreay. Doesn't get tackled or do anything like that, obviously, but the distraction allows Takeshita to hit a released German suplex. Callis is like, right, kill him with a screwdriver to Cole Fletcher. Fletcher doesn't want to do that. Takeshita tries to talk some sense into him, but he storms off. Ospreay goes after Takeshita. Callis pulls his hair back, and that allows Takeshita to hit a huge forearm. And Takeshita sets up for a belt shot when Ricochet runs out to make the save. And Takeshita and Callis bail. Ricochet holds up the international title before handing it to Will Ospreay.
Right, absolutely gaping plot hole aside, which we've touched on, he left the family. What struck me more, other than the incredibly annoying plot hole, what really struck me when I watched this, right, in terms of the TV time and how they try to tell the story with like the screwdriver and they're not using it and they're leaving the family and then tying Callis and Ospreay together still. I vividly remember at 5:45 in the morning or wherever it was, thinking, I was meant to really care about all this for months and months and months, and this is the big moment. I've never given a toss about it. I was just like, no. I was meant to care and I don't.
Yeah, it's the Don Callis family's been a mess for ages. So for them to roll this out and make you think that it's a big deal, and the match is built as well. This was this was that stupid.
It's the banger division. That's what it is. Ospreay, the international title. It's the banger division. That's what. And they're all banger. They're amazing bangers. I don't need all this crap attached to it.
Ricochet's save amidst all these people was a bit like sort of an American character rocking a piece. I'm here. He did feel like oddly quite detached.
You're barred. That's right. No Queen Victoria for you.
I'm gonna jelly your eels at the pay-per-view.
What was is it Wilfred the dog?
Wellhard.
Wellhard, thank you. Wilfred's
come here, Wellhard.
Hey, Wellhard. Even harder than the Mitchell brothers.
It's quite nice here in Walford. Think I might settle down. Maybe stay a couple weeks. What channel are we on? BBC One? Is that ITV? I can work out your uppers and downers.
Yeah, I mean, the match has already said it's going to be wicked on Saturday.
Yeah, a very, very elaborate, and as Stitch points out, in their minds, grand payoff angle to a match that already existed. Yeah. It's like, get the three wrestlers out there.
The booking's rubbish. Really rubbish.
That's that is
a lot of it is really piss poor.
People can argue what we pick on and what we don't and all that sort of stuff. That to me is one of them ones where you're in the room, where's the one person putting their hand up being that doesn't scan.
No, the whole thing was he owes him a favour, and then he's like, give me the favour. The whole point I was booking him to drop the international title, I think maybe to Ricochet when they fought for it the other week, was he's split loyalties now because he's doing the tag stuff.
Yeah,
because
the favour was
Callis
good.
is called in this favour.
The favour was good, and then I can understand Callis. His thinking joins up a little bit where it's like, right, okay, well, done the favour, but you ruined it. You didn't bring the titles to the Callis family because you wouldn't use a screwdriver. Right, I'm done with you, Ospreay. I'm going to set Takeshita after you. He left. What's Ospreay talking about? It's. What was main event?
Former stablemates Will Ospreay and Rouge.
Not there yet. Top Flight and Action Andretti are backstage. They're annoyed about.
I've got something to say on this.
Collision the past week and not being able to face the Young Bucks on Saturday. Andretti's like, yeah, you crap. And Layla Gray's like, well, it's your fault, actually. You screwed them. Dante tells Darius those things keep continuing to cost us, and they leave. Darius is all conflicted.
There are a lot of characters telling other characters that they suck in AEW right now. What does that tell you?
It's a sellout with a loser convention, isn't it?
What does that tell you?
This would have made a lot more sense, considering they were angry at feeling wronged. There'd been a third team in that match that could have lost the match instead to make them feel like they'd been ripped off. A third team maybe such as, the House of Black. But weirdly, Sage, you didn't see Collision, the House of Black did not have the 4 registered on them. No. That was Top Flight.
They got a bottle of water chucked at them instead.
Indeed they did. So they suffered the same in a way. It was Top Flight, the team that were accused of wrongdoing and being screwed out of things, that were pinned 1, 2, 3 to lose their shot. Imagine if House of Black had lost the match. This might have made a bit of sense. Sometimes things just don't work out.
I was confused by what came next. Jack Perry's sitting in the back. He's talking about Katsuyori Shibata, says how much of a legend he is, the embodiment of fighting spirit, and he always has a turkey leg in his trunks. I don't get that. So is he always going catering just in case he gets peckish?
No. You struggle with this quite often.
Yeah.
Actually, Adam, it's what's called a sexual innuendo.
Right.
Where he's saying one thing, but he actually means another. It's really confusing.
So he doesn't have a turkey leg?
Yeah, because I don't understand why I'm confused, because why don't they just say what they mean? Because what would have helped you if he instead of just drop the innuendo bit and just say what he means? Because, respect you, you embody fighting spirit, and you got an absolutely gigantic cock down there that sometimes is incredibly distracting to the point where I'm watching Shibata. I'm like, just bought yourself a nice little cup as a treat, or is that thing capable of doing serious damage?
It's Katsuyori Shibata.
It's magnificent.
Anyway, Perry says Shibata lets his phone do
Shibata going to work that guy's eye again.
Shibata lets his phone do the talking, but he wants to speak Shibata.
Chapping.
Shibata's old language, fighting. Shibata might deserve to be the TNT champion, but it's not about what you deserve, it's about what you're willing to take. And this TNT title means that Jack Perry's the best. Shibata's got to come and take it from him.
He means he's the fourth best, if anything. World, international, continental, TNT. It's probably my current rankings.
You're willing to die once in the ring. Are you willing to die to be the fourth best? It doesn't really like...
You and your big fat cock willing to die.
To not even make it on the podium.
Right, main event time. Bryan Danielson. It's the match of champions. Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta versus the other two lads from the trios champions, Claudio and PAC. Danielson takes out. They did the final countdown and said, "Well, this could be the last time we're hearing it on telly." Basically,
that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Danielson, you think we're not going to pay for it if they're just doing on a random Dynamite?
Danielson takes out Claudio on the apron with a running knee, backflips out of the corner to get away from PAC, hits a suicide dive on Castagnoli, and Yuta flies in with a top rope drop kick on PAC, and they hit double dives together until Yuta gets isolated. Eventually, he managed to get a tag, runs wild, snap German on PAC, gets a near fall. Yuta gets held in cattle mutilation, but Castagnoli breaks up the hold, pulls Yuta up, doesn't hit him. Yuta slaps him, but
I do like that bit.
Claudio holds back.
Very being patronising.
Danielson runs in, but Claudio catches him midair and hits a neutralizer. PAC hits a thrust kick on Yuta to take over as they go through the break. When we come back, Claudio's keeping Yuta grounded but not throwing any strikes. Yuta tries to tag. Danielson's still down on the outside. Castagnoli hits a release German on Yuta. Doesn't want to make the hot tag, but he knows later on he has to. Yuta tries to fight off, biting his hands, hitting a tornado DDT. Danielson recovers. Hot tag to him. The corner Hurricane Rana gets blocked. Castagnoli tries an avalanche Ricola bomb, but Danielson counters into a Hurricane Rana, hits the yes kicks, because he's going to kick his flipping head in. But PAC comes in to break that up, looks for a brainbuster, but Danielson just toys him on his shoulder. There's an uppercut by Claudio, tries another, but Danielson gets a backslide for two. Danielson gets distracted because Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir are at ringside, which allows Claudio to hit an uppercut on the 450 splash by PAC, gets two. Marina Shafir takes the ref. PAC grabs the ring hammer, but Yuta gets rid of that. Danielson locks PAC in the label lock for the submission victory.
I thought this was fine, realistically. I don't know if it's purely because they've just done stuff with the BCC for about 2 years. So as much as I appreciate the effort in terms of rehabbing Wheeler Yuta and making him prominent, it doesn't really hit emotionally. Even though I like what they're doing now, but because I kind of hated what they were doing then, I can't just instantly forget. Action-wise, broadly fine. Here's the thing. I would say, it's probably stupid because if you look at all the tags and stuff that Kabashi was in All Japan or whatever, for my money, Danielson's AEW run is the best wrestler in a promotion catalogue of matches ever. Danielson AEW, Okada New Japan, Misawa All Japan, Danielson AEW. For me, it's Danielson AEW. It's just unbelievable. The secret, where's Brett? So his tags have just been okay.
Yeah.
He's had some amazing tags. He's had a lot of tags that were just okay.
I just expected, sometimes you can't tell until you're out there as well. I just expected a little bit more drama with the Yuta stuff. Like the Claudio not hitting him was nice, but I don't know, I just felt like it was all going to feel a little bit more elevated because they've earned it. Elevated, but I'm bored. It just felt like
I thought they were going to do more with like Yuta with the hammer. I thought for a split second I was like, oh my God, he's going to,
It just felt like it should have all been a bit more heightened than it was because they have done the work on this, and then the match just played out, and and then they beat him down. And do you want me to do the
post-match and you can talk about it? Yeah, post-match, Danielson immediately dives onto Moxley. They brawl up the ramp. Claudio and Yuta argue. PAC kicks Yuta to the floor. Shafir beats him up. They see the backstage fight with Danielson and Moxley chucking each other around.
Good.
Yeah.
Danielson chucks Mox into the garage door.
He doesn't give a damn.
I thought it was a bit anemic, personally. Like maybe it was a lack of atmosphere in the building for all of it. But yeah, I expected that to be hotter, truthfully.
Claudio gets the hammer. Shafir and PAC hold up Yuta and he hits him in the gut repeatedly. Danielson and Moxley brawl back to the ring. PAC gets sent flying. Castagnoli eats the Busaiku knee. Moxley gets sent tumbling up the ramp to Shafir as Danielson stands tall, checks on Yuta. Final countdown plays to close out this show.
I'm looking forward to what they do for Full Gear. A Wrestle Dream will be good. I don't think it'll be like a top tier AEW pay-per-view. I really don't, but it'll be good. And I'm looking forward to just let's all these pieces settle and just, I don't know. Some of the booking is absolutely crap.
Main event's big time. This wasn't, but the main event itself is big time. Really hard to pick a winner and hard to think about how it all looks, whichever man loses. And that's worth something. Like, that main event is kind of carrying the whole narrative heft of this pay-per-view, I think so.
Let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comments section or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch so you can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
Emi Sakura.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts, including the NXT review later on today. But
Might be good. I haven't seen it.
For this one now has been the Dynamite review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.